皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So today, I would like to talk about something, for me especially, it's been really important because I've actually recently been receiving a lot of DMs and comments saying that Shogo, I'm actually very sad and disappointed because you don't mention about the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, the first thing I want to say is that I have not ignored it, and of course, I watch almost every news about it that I can see in Japan. I have discussions with my friends, and I actually skipped one live stream because I thought it was inappropriate timing for me to do it because of the war between the two countries. So first of all, I wanted to tell you guys that. And second, another thing I want to say is that because I am a Japanese man living in Japan, and I'm very sure that the information that I get is definitely biased, in Japan. And I understand that because I have friends all over the world, I'm connected to them through social media. Every country, how the war is broadcast is completely different, right? So here, what I want to say in today's podcast is not about what I think about the war directly, but what I think about how Japan should react to it from now on. This is today's topic. Now, I'm really sad and very disappointed that recently, because of the war between Russia and Ukraine starting, there has been a lot of people there's been discussion going on in Japan, sprouting in Japan right now, that we should change the constitution. The current constitution of Japan has Article 9 that Japan has clearly discarded war and has made an oath saying after World War II, Japan did so many terrible things to the world, and it's about time that Japan completely quits war. And the current constitution clearly states that Japan will never ever start a war again. Yeah. And right now though, a lot of people, even Japanese people, don't have this image. But actually Russia and Japan are neighboring countries. So we are actually right close to each other. Some of our land, actually there's a part of some small islands that Russia and Japan has been fighting to get for a really long time. So our countries are actually touching each other. Yeah. So for Japan, Russia starting a war against Ukraine is something that's very important. It's a very big problem for us. Well, everyone around the world, of course, too, but especially for Japan because we are so close to Russia. And because of this war starting, there's been so many people saying, let's change the constitution. It's about time Japan, can start a war and things like that. And personally, growing up in Hiroshima, this is such a controversial topic. I completely understand. There's many ideas and opinions, and there are, should I say, people who really think that before you get attacked, we should attack first, kind of thing. Yep. I do completely understand, but from here, I really want to tell everyone about what I think. Yeah. And there's two things that I want to say. Number one, from all the reading, all the studying that I've done in my life, my personal opinion, especially as a Budo martial art trainee, I really think that violence is the most immature act of communication that humans can do. This is my core principle of myself. Yeah. Among all talking or shaking hands, different kinds of communication, violence is definitely the most immature thing to do. Yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing, I really love reading ancient Chinese literature, including, if you guys might know, The Art of War, which is written by Sun Tzu. a lot of Japanese businessmen love reading that book too. But basically, even though it's a book about the art of war written really in ancient times, very old times, it can actually be applied to many things like in business, to team building and things like that. And in this book too, it's a really realistic book, It's the art of war, even though it says the art of war. Basically, if I can make a really long story short, it teaches you that starting a war is the very last thing that you do. Before that, among the 100 procedures of fighting, the 99 procedures is for you to choose not to fight. The very last one thing you do is finally when you fight. And that's in ancient times, right? Yes. And even when you do fight, it needs to be in a situation where you know that you will win 1000%. And that's not just in real life war, but also in business, in any kind of competition. Yeah. Until then, you negotiate, you try to communicate, you talk, you find a way, try not to fight. Because in war, my opinion, I would say that in war, if you start, even if one side wins, everyone loses. This is said in a lot of Japanese anime and manga that I love too. If war starts, if any kind of fight starts, conflict starts, even if, in terms of war, in terms of conflict, you could say that this side won, but in reality, both sides lose. There's so much that both sides will lose in terms of life, in terms of love, in terms of resources and happiness, right? There is no victory there, real victory there. The real victory is to avoid that battle in the first place. And we negotiate, we talk. That's what communication is supposed to be. So those are the two things that I really want to say to people in Japan who are, in the moment they feel that some kind of danger might come, they say, yes, we should rely on violence. And my answer is a big no. A very big no. Yeah. And another thing, the very last thing I want to say today is that in order to begin a war, everyone needs a story to believe in, right? If this makes sense. It could be, this is a war to protect our country. It could be, the story could be that the leaders of that country creates, it could be we're getting back the land, for example, that was rightfully ours, or this is the war to teach the true teachings, of this idea or something like that, right? You basically need to create a story to everyone to believe in to be able to fight, right? And because I want to at least believe that 80%, 90% of people do not want to fight. I have a family. I have 2 beautiful daughters and a beautiful wife, and I have you guys. I have you as my friends. I do not want to go and attack anyone, and I want to at least believe that 80%, 90% of the people agree with me. Yeah. But then why does it start? Why does war start? Why does conflict start, right? Then it's when people are able to believe in a story that they have to fight, right? And what's very frightening for me is that the moment, for example, Japan changes the constitution and Article 9 has been changed, the world knows that Japan can start a war again like in the past. What does this mean, right? It means that it sounds like Japan has a very strong will to try to fight and go and attack someone. Why did we have to suddenly throw away the Article 9, right? That has announced to the world, that made a great oath saying that we are not going to be repeating the history that absolutely was a mistake, right? That's the reason why we had the Article 9 in the first place. But discarding that is basically like telling the world that Japan is now going to go back to war again and fighting again, and choosing the option of weapons and killing, right? And what that is going to be creating stories in other countries, for example, for the leaders to say, see, Japan is going to be attacking us, then we need to attack them first, right? That's basically planting the seeds of more fighting and more war possibilities, right? And that is definitely something. It's not that a lot of people think that even if we change Article 9 and Japan is capable of war, if we don't start a war, nothing would happen. But basically, changing it means that we're telling the world that, right? And there's more possibilities of that, right? And again, it's best politics, and the politicians, their jobs, when they negotiate with other countries, their jobs is supposed to be trying not to rely on violence and using their communication skills to be able to actually, try to find a peaceful way. That's supposed to be what their jobs are, from my point of view at least, So these are basically the three things that I really want to say. Yeah. And one last thing, I guess, if I could add, one last thing I could say is there's absolutely no answer to this. Now, what happens when I say this, relying on violence is not a good thing, or, it's not good to create stories, to let everyone be capable of creating stories and things like that. And there'll be a lot of Japanese people coming up to me who want to change Article 9 and have a bigger army and things like that in Japan. There are people who come up to me, then what are you going to do then? Then how are you going to take responsibility if actually Japan gets attacked and things like that, and kind of that stuff, right? But obviously, if I, this 27-year-old Japanese person, if I was capable of thinking up of a solution, then I'm pretty sure the problems all around the world would probably be solved by now, right? Yeah. So today's topic, what I'm trying to say here is that I absolutely do not have any solutions to any conflicts in this world. Yeah. If I had it, everyone would probably already have it. People who are much smarter than me, right? Yeah. So the only thing that I want to say here is that relying on violence is definitely should be removed from the options in the first place. Yeah. And I really, really, really hope that Japan continues to do that, because after World War II ended, and for more than 70 years from there, Japan has continued to state to the world and to its citizens that we have removed the option of violence by our constitution, right? And I really, really want Japan to continue that, because we have responsibilities of our past tragic events that happened, right? And I really want Japan to continue to be a role model of that. Yep. So this is something that I really, really wanted to say. Not completely directly connected to the war that's going on now, but as a Japanese man, I don't want to be irresponsibly saying, what should I say? I'm not a professional of history and things like that, right? So I don't want to say any irresponsible opinions about wars outside of Japan, but this is something that I wanted to say as a Japanese citizen who is responsible as one citizen. I have the right to vote, for example. This is my idea, this is my belief towards Japan and its current situations. Then, everyone, thank you so much for listening. As I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know that a lot of people who are studying Japanese or willing to travel and live in Japan, and even trading our traditional culture and stuff, right? Yeah. But I'm very afraid that Japan will not be able to provide these things in the future, because Japan is facing a lot of social problems. We're losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations are dying because of all the social issues being shoved against them. Yeah. So I really want to dedicate my life to try to make Japan a better place. I want to try to solve the social problems, to preserve and evolve traditional culture, and also help out the younger generations so they can have a better future. Yep. And to do that, as you guys know, the first step towards this ultimate dream is to achieve 1 million subscribers by January 2023 on my main channel. So all your likes and comments will help to boost my videos to new people who have never seen my videos before. It would be a lot of help. Thank you so much. And my second and third step are already in mind. Actually, it's already been discussed among my team, the four of us, yes, and we actually have some concrete plans for it already, but we actually have a video in mind that would like to present this, the second and third step from there. Once we achieve 1 million subscribers, I hope you can look forward to that too. Alright, then everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much. Then I'll stop the recording.